You're to rescue DARPA Chief Donald Anderson and the President of ArmsTech, Kenneth Baker.
Naomi, the Chief, what happened?
It looked like a heart attack.
A person very dear to me is being held hostage.
Who is it?
My niece, Meryl.
Do you still have the card keys to override the detonation code? I heard you had them.
You need to find Hal Emmerich, team leader of the Metal Gear Rex project.
Colonel, are you listening? Now he's dead too.
It looked like another heart attack.
Gray Fox. Colonel, that ninja is Gray Fox. No doubt about it.
Snake went over to Hal Emmerich after Snake tells him that he is not there to rescue him, but to get information out of him. Hal tells Snake that Rex was designed as a mobile TMD and was only designed to shoot down missiles for defensive purposes. Calling him a liar, Snake angrily tells Hal that he already knows that Rex is designed as a quote-unquote
a nuclear-equipped walking deathmobile,
and that this was its designed purpose from the very beginning. Snake tells Hal that he heard this from his own boss, Baker. But Hal seems surprised and tells him that he had no idea it was meant to be used for a nuke. When Snake calms down, Hal tells him that he is not aware of any nuclear missile capabilities on Rex, and that he's only aware of it having a Vulcan cannon, a laser, and a miniature railgun. Hal did recall that Rex had a missile module on its back, and asked if Snake thinks that it was actually meant to carry nuclear missiles. But Snake didn't think so, because if this was the case, they wouldn't need the extra test data in the disk Baker gave him. At this point, Hal remembered that Rex's co-developer was working on a new type of nuclear missile that they only tested in VR. So it's possible that the tests that were conducting in Shadow Moses were a field test for this VR data of this new nuclear warhead. Whatever the new type of nuclear weapon was unknown. Realizing the terrible weapon he had helped create, Hal breaks down and starts explaining how his grandfather, Huey's dad, the same guy who receives Grenon's design for his bipedal tank design, was part of the Manhattan Project, and that his dad, Huey, was born on the same day of the Hiroshima bomb. Thanks to Metal Gear Solid 5, we also now know that Huey also helped develop other types of nuclear weapons, from the AI pods to Peace Walker to Zeke and Sahelanthropus. Hell, we also now know that his mom also helped develop nuclear weapons. This was Hal's way of saying that they must have some kind of nuclear curse written in their DNA. Hal went on to say that he was inspired to become an engineer because of the animes he used to, and probably still does, watch. He wanted to use science to make the world a better place, and now regrets his path, as he sees that this is a pipe dream that can only be true in cartoons. After Snake told him to essentially sack up and stop crying, Hal tells him that Rex is in the underground maintenance space north of their location, past the communication tower. After Hal tells Snake that he'll have to destroy Rex if he can't find the 3 PAL keys, Snake tells him to hide somewhere, since he would just slow him down and he can't really escape from an island. Hal tells him that he'll use his stealth camouflage gear to remain invisible and stay hidden, and Snake decides to contact Meryl to ask her to protect Hal as well, just to be sure. After hinting at Snake that the only safe place to meet up with Meryl would be the woman's bathroom, Hal gives him a keycard of a higher level security. He then tells Snake to call him Otacon instead of Hal, Otacon being short for Otaku Convention, because we had to further nail down the fact that he's a giant nerd. After promising that he would no longer take part in the creation of weapons of mass destruction, Hal Emmerich, or should I say Otacon, gives Snake his codec frequency and leaves. Snake heads to the floor where Meryl is located and meets up with her when she heads to the ladies' bathroom. There, Meryl sneaks up on him a second time. Snake and Meryl have a long conversation. Meryl tells Snake that she was a fan of Foxhound back when her uncle Campbell and Snake were in it. They were, as she said, real heroes. Snake goes on a pessimistic tirade about how there's no heroes in war and that the only heroes he knows are either dead or in prison. He tells her that he's not a hero.
I'm just a guy who can only find meaning on the battlefield. There's no winning or losing for a mercenary. The only winners in war are the people.
And you fight for the people.
I've never fought for anyone but myself. I've got no purpose in life. No ultimate goal. It's only when I'm cheating death on the battlefield, the only time I feel truly alive.
Seeing other people die makes you feel alive, huh? Is it the same for all soldiers throughout history?
I know none of this is super important, but it's a little hint of character development that shows that Big Boss's words had a deep impact on Snake. Feeling that Meryl is becoming upset and becoming uncomfortable with this talk, Snake changes the topic. Apparently, Meryl couldn't contact him because her codec broke. After telling Meryl that she had a nice butt...
You got a great butt.
No, I'm not kidding. Snake asks Meryl about the override keys Baker said he gave her. She said she gives Snake one key, and when he asks about the other two, she tells him that she only has the one, and she has no idea where the other two are. Meryl tries to go with Snake to find Rex, but he tells her that she would only slow him down. Meryl promises that she will be careful and proceeds to tell Snake about how she always dreamed of being a soldier, but now she realized that she just thought that if she became a soldier, she could understand her father better, who died in combat. After more dramatic banter, Snake and Meryl both head to the commander's room, which leads to an underground cave leading to the communications tower. When they approached the commander's room, Meryl started screaming in pain, telling Snake that her head hurt, and warning Snake not to enter the room. After a few seconds, she then slowly and calmly gets up and starts walking towards the door, lifelessly telling Snake to proceed forward.
Come on, Mr. Foxhound. The commander is waiting.
Once they enter, she has another episode and then begins to walk towards Snake, attempting to seduce him. Snake just stands there confused, and suddenly Meryl grabs her gun and backs up and aims it at him. At which point Snake is able to see the reason for her weird behavior. Apparently Psycho Mantis was controlling her ever since they approached the room. Snake is forced to knock Meryl out in order to save both himself and her. Mantis, removing his optic camo, then appears before Snake. After a demonstration of his psychic abilities, in which Mantis reads the player's game progress and memory card and makes appropriate comments based on them, Snake and Mantis engage in battle. Mantis is able to read Snake's every move, and because of that is able to dodge everything that he throws at him. However, if the players switch the controller port from 1 to 2, Mantis can no longer read Snake's mind. During the battle, Mantis attempts to take control over Meryl's body twice, at one point making her put her gun to her own head, making Snake distracted to trying to rescue her. But Snake successfully knocks her out both times. After a trippy battle against furniture and picture frames, Snake finally defeats Mantis. By the way, just in case it isn't obvious, yes, this Mantis is in fact the third boy, or the floating kid from Metal Gear Solid 5. Which brings up the question, where's Eli? Snake calls Campbell and tells him that his niece will be okay. Naomi wonders why Snake went so far to save her life. When Snake told her that he didn't want to see any woman die in front of him, Naomi asks Snake since when did anybody's death bother him so much. Campbell then jumps in and tells her that just because Snake had killed a lot of people doesn't mean he doesn't have a heart. Naomi is a bitch. Mantis tells Snake that the overland route was blocked by glaciers, so he had to take an underground path which was hidden behind the bookcase in the room. After Snake asks Mantis why he's helping him, he tells Snake, while Snake removes his mask, that throughout his life he has read thousands of people's minds, and they always had one desire, that being to pass on their seed. However, he said that Snake was different. He said that Snake was like them. They have no past and no future. They just live in the moment. And I guess that's why he's helping him. Mantis explained that the first person whose mind he read was his own father's mind, and inside his mind he saw nothing but hatred for him, as his mother had died in childbirth. After feeling the hatred that his father had for him, he blacked out, and when he came to, his whole village was up in flames, killing his father in the process. Much like what happened when he picked up on Venom Snake hatred and he blew up the airplane he was in. Mantis mentions that Snake has suffered the same trauma, but he doesn't go into detail as to what he means. He mentions that he never agreed with Liquid's revolution, but he just wanted an excuse to kill as many people as he possibly could. Remember what Ocelot said in Metal Gear Solid 5 about the third boy. The third boy was constantly controlled by other people's hatred, never truly being under his own influence. So if he was ever to be under his own control, all he would ever know would be hatred, anger, and revenge. The result of that kind of life led to, well, what we have here. Mantis then mentions that he has seen true evil, but it isn't himself, it's Snake. He says that compared to Snake, he's not that bad. I'm sure that made Snake feel great. Before dying, Mantis asks Snake to put his mask back on so that he can die by himself, since when his mask is off, other people's thoughts are forced into his head. He moves the bookcase to reveal the doorway leading to the underground path Snake must take, saying that he's never used his power to help anyone but himself, but that the feeling somehow feels nostalgic. On their way out, Meryl asks Snake what his real name is and how old he is. Snake deflects both of these questions. She then asks if he has any family, and he says that he was raised by many people, but nobody he would consider a family. And finally, she asks if there was anyone he cared about. Snake responds very similarly to what Big Boss told Eva when she asked him a similar question.
Is there anyone you like? Someone special?
I've never been interested in other people's lives. I've never been interested in anyone else's life. Other people just complicate my life. I don't like to get involved.
After Meryl openly pities him, Snake gets uncomfortable and begins heading out. Snake and Meryl make it to a small cave full of wolves. After the cave, they make it to an underground path leading to the communications tower. When they start crossing, Snake notices a laser pointing at Meryl. Neither of them know what to do, and before they knew it, the sniper had taken their shot at Meryl. Meryl is shot in both of her legs, and when Snake tried to go and rescue her, the sniper tries to shoot him too, making him hide behind a wall. The sniper finally shoots Meryl's arm, making her incapable of standing up on her own. Snake tries to wildly shoot towards the tower where the shots were coming from, but it was to no avail. Meryl begs Snake to leave her and run, knowing that the sniper is just using her as bait to get Snake to come out. Making me wonder why the sniper didn't just shoot Snake instead of her from the very beginning. Meryl starts regretting her decision to become a soldier, saying that she was a fool. She insists that Snake needs to leave, which, I mean, even if he wanted to, he can't, because the only way out is forward. So it's heroic and all, but he can't abort his mission, and there's only one way forward. Anyways, Campbell calls Snake and tells him that same thing Meryl said, that the sniper, who Naomi confirms is Sniper Wolf, Foxhound's best shooter, is just waiting for Snake to come out so she can shoot him. Naomi said that Sniper Wolf is capable of waiting hours, days, or even weeks for her prey. Campbell establishes the fact that if Sniper Wolf is in the tower on the other side of the corridor, she is in a perfect position to see him from anywhere, but she's also too far away to hit him, for him to hit with a standard weapon. So Snake needs a sniper rifle. Snake assures him that he will rescue her, and now Naomi becomes confused, telling him that Snake has a tendency towards murder written in his very genes, doubting once again his ability to care for someone else's life. Snake says he doesn't know or care what his genes look like. He will save Meryl, not for Campbell, but for himself. Snake calls Otacon for information on where to find a sniper rifle, and he tells him that he saw one in the second floor basement of the tank hangar. For some reason acting weird when he realizes that it's a sniper trying to kill Snake. So, Snake heads all the way back to the tank hangar, goes to the second floor basement, and all the way back to the underground path. However, when he gets there, Meryl's no longer there. Snake and Sniper Wolf engage in a sniper battle, which honestly is a pretty unfair one, as you only have one place to hide, around the corner. Anyways, after Snake defeats her, he heads towards the tower and notices a trail of blood going from where Sniper Wolf was stationed all the way down the stairs. However, there was no trace of her. When Snake tries to enter the tower, he is stopped by 3 soldiers. Snake manages to put them all in a standstill because he's badass, but he submits when Sniper Wolf approaches him. She orders him to toss his weapon towards her and asks him if he wants to die now or after Meryl, confirming to him that she's still alive. Snake is then knocked out. Knocked out. Okay, there we go.
Take him away!
Snake wakes up, hearing Liquid's voice saying,
"Don't kill him yet. I want him alive."
And Ocelot's voice responding,
Leave it to me.
I want no more accidents like that DARPA chief.
But wait, what accident? The DARPA chief died with Snake, right? Liquid then calls out to Snake and asks him if he can hear him, telling him that he always knew he would meet him. Liquid referred to himself as the man that's from which Snake stole everything that was good. Finally, he says that after the sacrifices of their brothers, they can finally meet, referring to Snake as his brother. Sniper Wolf asks if they're going to need Snake's genetic information as well, and Liquid tells her that they will, and if they want to correct the Genome Soldier's mutations. But he says that they will only be able to cure them when they get their hands on Big Boss's DNA. Confused? It's okay, you're supposed to be. Ocelot realizes that Snake is awake, which, if they didn't know this, I gotta wonder why Liquid was even talking to him. Anyways, they raise him up. Liquid Snake states that there is definitely a resemblance between both of them, calling him a little brother, though he later admits that he's not sure if he's a younger or older one, but it doesn't matter. He tells him that they are both the last living surviving sons of Big Boss. Since I have told you all there is to know about Metal Gear Solid 5, it should be quite obvious at this point who Liquid Snake is and who Solid Snake is. But for the sake of continuity, I won't talk about it yet. Liquid gets a call telling him that the Americans haven't responded to their demands, and thus they will launch the first nuke in 10 hours as planned, further confirming that they do indeed have nuclear capability. However, Liquid believes that something is off, as normally the Americans are the first one to the negotiating table. Are we? Thought we didn't negotiate with terrorists. Yeah. This leads Liquid to believe that they must have something up their sleeve. Before Liquid exits, he tells Ocelot not to screw up this interrogation like he did with the DARPA chief, who was apparently tougher than Ocelot thought he was, and also had psychic shielding. But that's the complete opposite of what he told us.
They found out my password.
You talked?
Psycho Mantis can read people's minds. You can't resist.
Psycho Mantis?
And what does he mean by screwing up? We talked to him. Confused? Good. You're supposed to be. Liquid mentions that Mantis is dead, and they have to figure out what killed Kenneth Baker and Decoy Octopus. Wait, I remember Baker dying from a heart attack, but when did Decoy Octopus die? We never even fought him. Confused? Good. You're supposed to be. Liquid leaves the room, and after telling Snake that Meryl is still alive, Wolf leaves too. Before beginning his interrogation, Ocelot talks to Snake for a bit. During this talk, he calls him Carrier Boy. And again, instead of asking him why he calls him that, Snake just asks Ocelot questions about Rex and its nuclear capabilities. But Ocelot tells him to ask Campbell for the full story. At which point, Snake realizes Campbell is indeed hiding something from him. Ocelot asks Snake about the optical disc he got from Baker, and then begins to start up the machine for Snake's torture. While he does this, he asks Snake about the other 2 card keys he was holding, and what the trick to using them is. But Snake had no idea what he was talking about. Ocelot, after messing up his gunslinging, though I'm not sure why though, because in Metal Gear Solid 3 he was shown to be proficient with both hands. Continuity error? I think so. But Ocelot tells Snake that he's going to run a some high voltage electricity through his body, and he can tell him to quit at any point. But if he does, he will kill Meryl. This is the point of the game where the player can choose to save Meryl or sacrifice her in order to save their finger from mashing the circle button 10,000 times in quick succession. The ending of the game depends on this choice, but there is one established canon ending, that is Snake not giving up and Meryl living. Anyways, after the torture,
How did you like that? Shall we go again? Had enough yet? Oh, we're not finished yet.
Snake is carried away to his prison cell. Before this, however, Snake acknowledges that Ocelot acknowledges that Snake is a strong man, much like his brother, Liquid. He takes this knowledge and comes to the conclusion that the Les Enfants Terribles project was not a total failure. At this point, whoever has been paying attention should really know who Liquid and Snake are. While inside his cell, Solid Snake notices the decomposing body of the DARPA chief. Campbell then calls Snake to confirm his and Meryl's situation. After telling Snake that the government has decided not to give in to the terrorist demands, Snake asks Campbell what he's hiding from him, telling him that he knows Campbell knew about the new type of nuclear weapon Rex is designed to have. All Campbell can do is apologize. Campbell tells Snake that the president of the US is unaware of the Rex project, meaning this is the Department of Defense acting on its own for the sake of plausible deniability, as the president was set to meet with the Russian leaders. Knowing that America's global reputation was hanging on the success of this mission, Snake demands for details about the nuclear weapon, and Campbell tells them he doesn't know any details about it. Snake, however, doesn't buy it. Naomi says that the reason they can't give the terrorist big bosses remains is because they don't want knowledge of the Genome Army to go public. When Snake asks if that's the only reason, Campbell stays quiet. At this point, Snake gives up on Campbell and moves on. Snake then tells him about the DARPA chief's corpse and how it's strange because he has only been dead for a few hours, but his body's already decomposing. Not just that, but his blood seems to have also been drained. After reassuring to Campbell that he will still rescue Meryl, Ocelot has another go at torturing Snake.
Ah!